养蜂室，蜜蜂从他们的妈妈租来的房子。熏风器，这是一个喷壶，目的是让蜜蜂疲惫。森林青蛙，你可以根据青蛙2次呱呱的叫声之间的时间来预测天气，有时候不准。一块。
Take a very sharp knife, bring the pork belly towards you so you're over it and you've got all that pressure and weight. Using the tip of the knife, I'm just sort of nicking it and go across the pork belly. Long strokes with the knife. Take your time. Turn it 180. This time, what we're doing is just sort of cutting those nice little sort of diamonds. But as that starts roasting on top, it starts getting nice and crispy. Take handfuls of salt and just sort of rub it in. Bend it over and in all those cracks. Really helps to get a nice, crisp crackling on top. Roasting tray. Get it really nice and hot. Take a whole bowl of fennel.
To intensify flavour and to keep the meat succulent, I'm braising my pork belly with strong, vibrant spices and vegetables. Crush and peel 3 whole cloves of garlic and add to the fennel.
Olive oil in. Fennel in. I like the nice, strong, aniseed flavour that goes with that nice, rich, dense pork. Fennel seeds. Delicious. Star anise in. And just a couple of cardamom seeds. And wow, they're like little bangers, like little firecrackers. Incredible. Lovely. Fresh bay leaves. Get your pork skin side down. Just sear on top of that fat. That locks in all that amazing flavour. Then I'm going to flip it over and get it nice and crispy. And then I want fennel seeds embedded in those little cracks. Now, some white wine. The minute that white wine hits that pan, you can just smell that light fragrance from the fennel.
Allow the wine to bubble away and reduce until the alcohol has burnt off.
Time to get the stock. Now the stock goes in just underneath the skin, so it roasts on top. All that meat under there will be submerged. Because what happens in the oven, the top goes crispy as anything, and the stock reduces and braises at the same time. Really important that you bring that back up to the boil before it goes in the oven. Otherwise, it will never boil, never get up to temperature. It smells incredible.
Slow roast the pork belly at 180 degrees for 2.5 hours.
Look at that. You've got that nice, crispy skin on top. You can see how much of the stock has evaporated. Put that onto the board. It looks stunning.
To make a delicious rustic sauce with the flavour-packed contents of the roasting tray, first get rid of the excess fat.
Take a couple of slices of bread. It's like a perfect sponge because you just lay that on top and drag it almost like a net. And it just absorbs all that fat. If you want the perfect fried bread, trust me.
15 seconds left.
A nice teaspoon of mustard. Whisk that in.
And then simply simmer for a few minutes before pouring into a serving jug.
With your nice serrated edge knife. And that is amazing. Incredibly tender. That belly of pork is going to almost melt in your mouth. You've got that sweet meat under that crispy belly of pork. What an amazing way to cook a very cheap cut of meat.
First blood.
Stir through chopped mint, pile onto toasted bread, and finally, for a lovely salty tang, crumble over some creamy feta cheese. Add the shin back into the pan with a glass of dry white wine and the juice of an orange.
New event.
Thunderstrike!
사람 어때? 사람 어때? 오, 낭했다네. 사람 어때? 사람 어때? 오, 낭했다네. 사람 어때? 사람 어때?
我要是你，我就不会改变规则，猪爷爷。
没关。
我要是你，我就不会改变规则，猪爷爷。
Ultimate ready. Roll out.
Endless power.
Ultimate ready. Now would be a good time to run.
Fifteen seconds remaining.
Ultimate ready.
3, 2,
Gotta
1.
go fast. Combat mode ready to go.
First blood.
Who are you?
ドン・フォックスです。
ドン・フォックスさん。
やっと会えました。嬉しい。
ドン・フォックスさん。ドンギツネさん。
今よからぬ妄想してたでしょ。
なんだ妄想か。
ああ、がっかりしてる。
日本のうどん、どん兵衛。まだ
ready! Blast off! Ultimate ready! Let's go for a spin!
"15 seconds remaining.
Ultimate ready! Roll out!
3, 2, 1.
Time to take the armor for a spin!
First blood. First blood.
time to take the armor for a spin!
Smash! Smash! Smash!
Fifteen seconds remaining.
Ultimate ready! Blast off! 3, 2, 1. First blood. Finally, the fun is about to start. Splendid. Double kill. Killing spree. New event. Awesome! The Ice Age is here! New event. Didn't see that one coming, did ya? Great! Killing spree. Gotta go fast! Gotcha! Nice! The death vortex is incoming. Rampage. Now would be a good time to run! Killing spree. The death vortex is incoming. New event. Top tier. Killing spree.
I am moon and star.
Ultimate ready. The death vortex is incoming. Roll out. Splendid! Death vortex approaching.
seconds remaining.
Ultimate play!
Ultimate ready! 3, 2, 1.
Combat mode ready to go. Gotta go fast!
New event.
Mercury forms alloys with most metals in a process known as amalgamation. Last week, I messed around and tested it out with some gold leaf, and it was pretty cool. This time though, I'm gonna see what happens when I add it to aluminum. So, I went to Home Depot, and I bought a strip of aluminum. I cut out a small section and drilled a hole about halfway through. This little crater is important because mercury is super annoying, and without it, it would just slide off the plate. Under normal conditions, aluminum is surrounded by a protective oxide layer. Metallic mercury is sometimes. I tried doing this about 2 or 3 times, but it wasn't working. Oxide layer. It's possible to get things going 3 times using a drill, but that didn't get things going. I went to lunch and I left it for about an hour. When I came back, nothing had changed layer mechanically. Clearly I have to use a different strategy. Instead of trying to remove the oxide layer mechanically, I'm gonna try to do it chemically. So I took out all the mercury and I added some dilute hydrochloric acid. The hydrochloric acid quickly reacts with the oxide layer and dissolves it away. This exposes fresh aluminum metal, which also reacts with the acid. I let it go for about a minute, and then I get rid of the acid. With the acid gone, we'll start to reform the oxide layer, so it's important to add the mercury quickly.
Remaining.
The amalgamation started almost right away, but it's really hard to see. In the reflection, you can see me lean over to get a better look, and I noticed some very small hairs forming between the aluminum and the mercury. In real time, this process is really slow, so I set things up for a time lapse. So the major thing going on here is the combination of the mercury with the aluminum to form the amalgam. Some of the amalgam that forms gets dissolved in the mercury and makes its way to the top. When it gets there, it comes in contact with oxygen in the air, and it reacts to form white aluminum oxide. This part of the process is pretty short-lived though, because it quickly gets covered and protected by the oxide. This prevents fibers from growing directly from the mercury, but obviously they continue going out from the sides. This happens because some of the mercury is dissolving into the aluminum. The amalgam here also reacts with air to form the oxide, but the difference is that it doesn't shut itself down. The dissolved mercury can continue to creep along the surface and amalgamate more aluminum. In theory, this process will keep going until the entire surface is covered with a thick layer of the oxide. The mercury could also penetrate deeper into the aluminum and compromise its strength, but I think that takes a really long time to do. About 4 hours later, I decided to end the time lapse. I spun the thing around, and when I noticed the other side looked a lot cooler, I was a little bit sad. Anyway, when I poke at it, you can see that it's not structurally very strong. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but I was surprised at how fragile it was. It looks like there's quite a bit of aluminum oxide here, but surprisingly, there's only about 200 milligrams. I went to clean things up a little, so I scraped away a lot of the oxide. On the edges, this reveals fresh aluminum amalgam, which is the silver stuff that you see. As usual though, it quickly reacts and turns gray again. As I said before, some of the mercury has dissolved into the aluminum. I was really curious to see how much more amalgamation would occur if I took away all the visible mercury. So I removed the large drop and I cleaned things up.
Most excellent!
I then left it out and did another time lapse over the course of a couple hours. There was apparently enough left to get a decent amalgamation going, but it was actually less than I was expecting. I cleaned things up again, and this time when I scraped the edges, they're not silver like before. Clearly the amalgamation process is done. I think the reason that it stopped is because all the mercury that's present is amalgamated with aluminum, but it's hidden under the oxide. Without the main drop in the middle, you don't have excess mercury to creep out and continue making more amalgam. It also might be possible that small amounts of mercury are taken away as the fibers grow, but I don't know if that actually happens. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and react things again because I want to highlight something. So like before, to get things going, I clean it up with some hydrochloric acid. Then I add the mercury back, but this time, instead of doing things dry, I add some water. This prevents any cool oxide fibers from forming, but I want you to notice is the bubbling that's occurring. Instead of reacting with air, it's reacting with the water here to form aluminum hydroxide and hydrogen gas. I was initially only expecting bubbles to come from below the mercury, but they're actually coming from everywhere. What this tells me is that there was still some amalgam present, and it was just trapped under the gray oxide. When I went to clean up the mercury this time, it was actually more of a pain than usual. Some of it got stuck to the side, and I wasn't able to get it out. Instead of letting it go to waste though, I just decided to do another time lapse.
Gotta go back!
And I'm glad I did, because although this one is shorter, I think it's cooler than the first one.
New event.
Most excellent!
Death Vortex incoming. New event. Death vortex incoming. Death vortex incoming. Killing spree. Unstoppable. Killing spree. Let's go for it! Dominating. The Death Vortex, godlike. Now would be a good time to run. Roll out. Ready, set, go! Ultimate ready! Legendary.
That was great! Now what's my score?
Quite a long time, or months. A somewhat common but highly illegal use of this reaction is in the production of MDMA. Anyway, I think that's about it for this video. When I was really able to interact with the aluminum, but it wasn't working for me. So the major thing going on here, in real time, I lean over to get a better look, and I noticed some very small hairs forming between the aluminum and the mercury. In real time, this process is really slow, so I set things up for a time lapse. So the major thing going on here is the combination of the mercury with the aluminum to form the amalgam. Some of the amalgam that forms gets sealed form, you almost burn it away. Conditions, annoying, and without it, it would just slide off the plate. Under normal conditions, aluminum is surrounded right through this barrier, so it kind of does nothing. Sometimes, I tried to get things going by manually, but that didn't get things going either. I thought that about an hour. Instead of trying to remove the oxide layer mechanically, I'm gonna try to do it chemically. So I took out all the mercury and I added some dilute hydrochloric acid. The hydrochloric acid quickly reacts with the oxide layer and dissolves it away. This exposes fresh aluminum metal, which also reacts with the acid. I let it start to reform the oxide layer, so it's important to add the mercury quickly. The amalgamation started almost right away, but it's really hard to see. Some very small hairs forming between the aluminum and the mercury. In real time, this process is really slow, so I set things up for a time lapse. So the major thing going on here is the combination of the mercury with the aluminum to form the amalgam. Some of the amalgam that forms gets dissolved in the mercury and makes its way to the top. When it gets there, it comes in contact with oxygen in the air, and gets dissolved in the mercury and makes its way to the top. When it gets there, it comes in contact with oxygen in the air, and it reacts to form white aluminum oxide. This part of the process is pretty short-lived though, because it quickly gets covered and protected by the oxide. This prevents fibers from growing directly from the mercury, but obviously they continue going out from the sides. This happens because some of the mercury is dissolving into the aluminum. The amalgam here also reacts with air to form the oxide, but the difference is that it doesn't shut itself down. The dissolved mercury can continue to creep along the surface and amalgamate more aluminum. In theory, this process should keep going until the entire surface is covered with a thick layer of the oxide. The mercury could also penetrate deeper into the... I spun the thing around, and when I noticed the other side looked a lot cooler, I was a little bit sad. Anyway, when I poke at it, you can see that it's not structurally very strong. I'm not sure it looks like there's quite a bit of aluminum oxide here, but surprisingly, so I scraped away a lot of the oxide. On the edges, this reveals fresh aluminum amalgam, which is the silver stuff that you see. As usual though, it quickly reacts and turns gray again. As I said before, some of the mercury has dissolved into the aluminum. I was rid of mercury. So I removed the large drop and I cleaned things up. Couple hours. I then left it out and did another time lapse over the course of a couple hours. There was apparently enough. I cleaned things up again. Process amalgamated with aluminum don't have excess mercury under the oxide layer. Without the main drop in the middle, we don't have, so might be possible that small amounts of mercury are. Anyway, I'm gonna go forward to add the mercury. At this time, the bubbling that's occurring. Instead of reacting with hydrogen gas, coming from everywhere. What this tells me is that there was still some amalgam present, and it was just trapped under the gray oxide. When I went to clean up the mercury this time, it was actually more of a pain than usual. Some of it got stuck to the side, and I was more of a side. When I went to clean amalgam present, mercury got stuck to the side, I just decided I think it's cooler than the first one. Cleaned it up just like the last one, but there was too much oxide, much damage was done. It looked like it went deep at all, and it was, again, it really didn't do that much damage. I imagine to really do would have to keep its application, aluminum amalgam earlier, we usually keep a soluble mercury aluminum use of this ring. I think that's about amalgam. Now, It's a pretty simple setup, and it's used to generate molecule wallpapers. So you can just type in the chemical name or its structure, and you can choose the color of the molecule as well as the background. If you have some time, you should definitely check it out, and I've linked it in the description. A big thanks goes out to all of my supporters on Patreon. Everyone who supports me will see my videos 24 amalgamation. For this video though, off at the mercury. I'm going to dissolve the gold where it landed and make a hole in the leaf. I think if I just put one large
No problem. I'll handle this. First blood. Top tier. Killing spree. New event. Ultimate ready. Pew pew. Let's go. Death vortex incoming. New event. Now would be
drop, it would have pulled the entire leaf in, but because I used multiple drops, they but it quickly slowed down again. By adding several more drops, I let it sit, but I rolled it around for about 30 seconds. Working with mercury, you really need to be careful with your gold jewelry. Anyway, in my opinion, is that this effect area. A solid gold chunk was boring to look at. Every other gold leaf that I had. The rate slows down, but this is the 16th one, and as a covering this lid, the blob will thicken as more gold. How dental amalgams are made. Instead of using gold, dentists use silver, which can be used to dense blob. It's solid enough that I can squish it together like clay. I'm not really sure how to describe how it felt, but it had a bunch of excess, unamalgamated mercury in it, so it was kind of a mix between a solid and a liquid. When I squished it, it shot out a bunch of mercury. To get rid of the rest of the liquid mercury, I cut out a square from one of my socks.
Ready, set, go!
The liquid gold amalgam is a solid so it stays in the sock, but with a little bit of effort, the excess liquid mercury can be squished through. The mercury gold amalgam that I have now is much more solid. However, unlike the silver amalgam that's used in dentistry, as far as I know, the gold amalgam doesn't have much use on its own. What's more important is the actual process of gold amalgamation, which is used to refine and purify gold. On a large industrial scale, most developed nations have turned to more environmentally friendly and safe methods, but on the small scale, this is still really useful. The basic idea is to crush a gold as fine powder as possible, and then to mix it with mercury. The mercury will leach out the gold, and either just become highly concentrated, or it will form some solid amalgam chunks. The gold is then isolated, either by boiling off the mercury or by chemical treatment. In this shot here, I'm adding the gold amalgam to a little bit of concentrated nitric acid. The nitric acid reacts with the mercury and dissolves it into solution, but it doesn't touch the gold. The reaction is a little bit slow, so I occasionally blasted it with a heat gun.
Now this is what I've been waiting for.
Blood. And mix safe reacting, which has water out the gold, and I put in 25 pages of gold leaf, so it means that each one is about 0.01 grams. This is quite a small amount, but it is possible to melt it shiny, but once we melt it down, it will become shiny again. Anyway, I think short isn't going to be a replacement or anything for my longer ones, and I'll still be putting out about 4 of those.
今天将做一个有趣的实验，电脑荧它有导电触板排列如同手指状，经过特殊的工艺，再缝也很强。不过因为价格便宜的黄，只留下了金手指部分。 内存条的上半部分已经被剪掉了。手指中是盐酸和过氧化氢混合液浸泡，盐酸和过氧化氢的比例为2:1。我们都知道，糖不会单独溶解在盐酸或者过氧化氢中，但是在盐酸和过氧化氢的混合溶液中，过氧化氢作为1个星期之后，溶液的颜色已经变得非常的深。 倒出烧杯中的溶液，用过滤器分离出金手指，同时需要不断的晃动和用蒸馏水清洗，来使得松动的金手指脱离电路板。初步分离后，你可以从侧面看到过滤溶液。用蒸馏水清洗金手。 因为用盐酸和过氧化氢混合液浸泡，糖不会单独溶解在盐酸或者过氧化氢中，但是在溶剂，适当量的氯离子能被充分溶解左右。现在看到溶硫酸钠，可以很明显溶液，把溶液再次过都已经溶解。 我们后面会浸泡它们，把过滤出的金属还有其他未被反应的，里面还有其他成分，入少量的漂白剂、氯气和其他 和盐酸会进一步生成我们后面，且尽可能氯化亚锡上氯化亚锡溶液粒子的存在。接着，我们往溶液。
Finally, the fun is about to start. Ultimate ready. Roll out. Ready, set, go. Blast off. First blood. Freeze for me.
其中加入看到有的金粉，并再次用氯产出合金大约0.8克左右的纯金粉。现在我留下的一点硝酸，并生成了黄金沉淀的固体的金珠。在粉高温融化，就能得到固体的金珠。后并不划算。 大概1吨的金手指，金手指的部分，而不算不环保所产生的方法。提纯旧电脑推荐的，想提炼黄金，会有更环保和更经济的方法。以后的。
Hello， 大家好，我是做重击，因为其实这专子敌环剧，大家的话为了很好带或选这种不可以遮于 PG 一样作品，一朝一夕苦练很幸福，沉重的价感，但做想看得很。害我以为东篱人都只会出一张嘴呢。在老薛的访谈中有提过，第一季。
First blood.
This is going to be a blast!
Double kill. Killing spree. Killing spree. Death vortex incoming. New event. New event.
Magnificent! Great!
Killing spree.
Most excellent!
The death vortex is incoming.
Awesome!
Killing spree. Killing spree.
Amazing!
The death vortex is incoming. New event.
Blast off!
Great! The death vortex is incoming. The death vortex is incoming.
Ultimate throw!
Ultimate ready! Now would be a good time to run! Plasma to the face! I can't wait to do this again!
建议鐵打，喂，嗰本乜撚嘢？
大招也是miss了。我今天打这游戏打大概我算一下，我直播多久啊？我直播3个小时了，我大概打这游戏9个小时了吧？我刚刚跟兵哥打7个小时，我自己直播的时候2个小时啊，打9个小时，因为打这游戏有点累了，不料我就 host 个人就去休息一下，不想打这游戏了，打腻了。明天再玩才会开心，打还多一天会太累了。
你明天也没做工是吗？
啊，明天没做工啊，拜三才做工。明天再早点开台吧。
19岁就在工作了 ，OAO。
不然，怎么可能可以打到他脸啦？
还在读书，但是阴疼而已。